it's a journey. So embrace the journey, embrace the process, and embrace what we're teaching here, okay? This is the Strat created by Rob Smith. Rest in peace, Rob. That's what we teach here. So before we get started on the video, guys, the screen that you see here is TradingView. If you are looking to day trade or swing trade, you're going to need a platform like this. I've been able to secure down below a link. That link will give you a free 30-day trial to TradingView, and then you'll get a discounted rate off of TradingView if you decide to use their subscription-based services, but you need to click on that link to get that, okay? So that's that. Let's get to this list. The first one we've got on the list, guys, is NEO. So NEO, as you can see, has a green bar. It's what we call a 2 down. You notice the candlestick numbers here. That's part of the indicator that I created. Stock Market Mindset, what's up? That's part of the indicator that I've created for you guys, and it includes this time frame continuity, the candlestick numbers, which we'll talk about real quick, and it colors some of the candles for you as well. The inside bars, the outside bars, gives you some highlighted setups for you guys to easily spot them on all time frames. Doesn't matter if you're looking at the 30-second or you're looking at a 2-year time frame or higher, it doesn't matter. Okay, so what we have here on NEO is a 2 down. So a 2 candlestick, if you guys are new, a 2 candlestick only breaks the low of the previous candle. So this candle only broke the low of the previous one. That's a 2 down. So a 2 candle only breaks one side or the other. This one broke just the bottom side. If you guys are interested in learning, I have a ton of learning tool videos. I have a beginner learning tool playlist. I've also got a 1-hour Strat course that I offer for you guys as well. But this 2 down, when these 2 downs, normally they look like this. They're red, but when they finish green, that gives me a higher probability that this is going to trend back up to the upside. And I'm going to put in a target here. Now, I use the word probability. Probability meaning that every strategy that you guys look at, every trade that you guys look at, it doesn't matter if it's this or you're looking at something completely different. If you're new to this, if you've been doing something for a long time, this right here, this strategy or any strategy is based off of probability, and that's because when we open up here on Wednesday, nobody knows what this next candle is going to do. We can look at what we have in behind us and say, okay, based on that, the probability of X happening is this, or the probability of Y happening is this. So we play the probability, and that's all it is, guys. It's probability based, because anybody or their kid could come in and press a buy button and be right 50% of the time. That's just the truth of it. But when it goes against you, that's where the strategy comes in, and how are you reducing your risk and managing your risk to keep yourself and keep your capital intact, okay? So when we look at NEO, the 2 down green, we're going to look for this to trend back to the upside. So we'll be looking for calls here at 14.17 or common shares at 14.17. And normally what we do is mark the first target at the top of the previous candle, like so. But because we have this gap, meaning there's in between these 2 candles, there is no candle here. So we have to fill that gap. So in order to fill that gap, we put our target here. That becomes our first target. Now, if you guys are asking to yourselves, what happens if this gaps in the morning like it did here? How do you play that? Okay, I've got I think there's 4 videos in a playlist on my YouTube channel. Okay, so if you go to I wonder if I have this on here. I don't. And we'll do it a different day. If you go to my YouTube channel, you go to the playlist and it'll be in there. It'll be a bunch of gap videos. It'll show you guys exactly how to play the gaps when they happen in the morning. But that is the setup on NEO. Okay, SPY had a setup yesterday. We had this 3-1 setup, and we talked about these 3-1 setups and inside bar setups, not intensely, but we looked at them and talked about how probable it was. And if you followed, if your risk management is a little higher than mine, because mine, I like to manage my trades on a smaller time frame. But if you took this day trade when it triggered here off the bottom of this inside bar, and this is what I was talking about, the painted bar. So the inside bars are yellow, the outside bars are white. It gives me this gold highlight for this 3-1 setup. That's part of my indicator. So when we broke this, all we were doing was looking for it to hit targets, and it did its job. So even if you just followed this strategy, you would have had a winner right there if you stayed on the daily chart. Okay, so that's the kind of thing that we look for. We look for triggers and we look for targets, and the candlesticks are telling us the story. We just have to make sure we're learning that story and listening to that story, and following the rules of that story. Because if we're not following our rules, then we're doing something completely different than what we're teaching here right now. You need to follow your rules on this stuff in order to be successful. You can't trade on fear or anxiety or anything else. You have to follow the rules. Okay, and the channel that I've set up for you guys here, this Griswold channel, is full of learning tool videos just for you guys, and they're all free. Okay, I also have a Discord. That link is in the description below. That Discord is free to join as well. There is a paid portion, but everything in there except for that paid portion is free. There's probably about 20 different rooms for you guys to log in and ask questions and do other things. So when we look at SPY, we have another one of those 2 down greens, just like we had on NEO. And so we're going to look for this to trend back to the upside. We're going to look for calls at 450.7. This is what we would call a 1-2-2 rev strat. And all it is basically a 2-2 reversal with a 1 preceding that reversal. Okay, so a 1-2-2 rev strat. The other thing that I like to look for when I'm trading is time frame continuity. I have a video on that as well. It's an important key cog, a key factor in what we teach. So you need to know what time frame continuity is. It's not something a lot of people discuss. It's not exclusive to the strat, but it is a very, very important part of this strategy. Okay, so when I'm trading, I'm day trading, I'm scalping. I really only need this hourly and this daily to form in the same direction. Okay, if I have the week, if I have the quarterly, if I have the yearly, if I have the monthly, that's what I call a bonus. And it just gives me a higher probability that trade is going to work out for me. Okay, and that's all it is. It's giving me more probability, higher chance of execution of the trade. So 2-2 reversal on SPY. We've got good time frame continuity in our favor. DraftKings, okay, so this is a 1-2-2 rev strat that we're looking for in the opposite direction to go to the downside. So again, we had that inside bar. We broke to the high side, but we didn't hit targets, and then we reversed. Okay, so doesn't mean the trade wasn't successful, but if you were holding all the way here hoping to get profit and you didn't have an exit strategy, then you obviously lost out on this trade. Now, what we're looking for on DraftKings here for Wednesday is what we just looked for on SPY, but the opposite, a 1-2-2 rev strat to the downside. So we have this 2 up, so it only broke the high of the previous candle. That's a 2, but it's a 2 up. But now it finished red, and we have what we call actionable signals. So there's 3 actionable signals when we're talking about the strat, and they're high probability setups. There's this shooter candle where we have this body at the bottom and the long wick to the top that's at least 2 times the size of the body. That's actionable signal 1. Actionable signal 2 is this inside bar. Okay, so anything that doesn't break the high or the low of the previous candle, if you have my indicator, it'll paint it yellow for you. It's easy to see. That's actionable signal number 2. And the third one is this right here, what we call a hammer candle. It's the opposite of the shooter. Okay, so we have the body at the top with a big long wick to the bottom, at least 2 times the size of this body. Okay, so right now we've got the 2 up, red. We're looking to go 2 down. So when this candle opens here, we're looking to break that yellow line to the downside, and the bottom of that inside bar right there becomes our first target. So 1-2-2 rev strat to the downside, and we've got the hourly, daily, and weekly in our favor, not the monthly, quarterly, and yearly. We don't need that. It would just give me a higher probability that there's a potential trade here. Move on to CVX. Again, what we saw exactly on SPY, a 1-2-2 rev strat to the upside. There's another thing I want to talk about on this one. So we're going to look for triggers at 159.79. If you follow this yellow line across, there's the dollar value, okay? Target at the top of that inside bar, top of the preceding wick. Doesn't have to be an inside bar, but it's the top of the preceding wick. So we look for the trigger, we look for the target. These 2 pink lines that you see here, that's how I mark my weekly triggers. Okay, so if we go to the weekly, I know there's 2 pink lines, so I know there was an inside bar last week. which is what we have here. We've already broken to the downside and come back up. This is what I want to show you. This purple line right here is also part of my indicator. So that purple line represents the 50% mark of this inside bar of the previous week's candle or the previous candle. Sarah Strat Sniper has a rule, the 50% rule. If we break to one side and come back through this purple line, okay, that marker, that 50% marker, that leaves us as a high probability for this bar to become an outside bar or a 3 bar. And a 3 bar breaks both the low and the high of the previous candle. So I'm going to go back to this daily chart here. So this is what we're looking at here, guys. We are looking at this 2 down that finished green. We're looking for it to trend back up. If we break through this purple line and close, I'm going to say close above it, or even if we break it, I don't really need a close above it. But even if we break it, we have a high probability, and especially if this happens tomorrow, because tomorrow is Wednesday, we're halfway through the week. I would like to see that potentially through that purple line if this is going to happen. It would be less likely the longer we go in the week. But this could potentially break through that purple line and then become an outside bar. Just like we had here, this outside bar broke both the low and the high. This candle broke both the high and the low of this candle. So that makes it an outside bar or a 3 bar. We're going to look for that exact same thing to happen if we break through this purple line, that purple barrier, that 50% mark tomorrow. QCOM, 2 down, finish green. We're going to look for that reversal back up, 2-2 reversal. Trigger at 117.88. If you guys have questions, we are live here. Feel free to ask the questions on the right-hand side. If you have a comment, if you have a question, feel free to leave them. If you think the videos are great, let me know. If you think they're terrible, you can let me know that too. You can also do it on Twitter at Mr. Clark Griswold, or you can do it in my Discord, which is free to join. That link is in the description below. And then if you are watching this as a recording, feel free to leave those comments in the comment section of the video as well. It's much appreciated. I love reading them, seeing what you guys want to see, what you guys want to hear from me. Okay? INTC, that's Intel Corp. 122 Rev Strat. And again, we have this hammer candle. When I went through this list, I found out that we have a lot of these hammer candles set up. So there are a ton of actionable signals pointing back to the upside. So a 122 Rev Strat on Intel calls at 35.10. Macy's, here we go. 122 Rev Strat hammer candle calls with the trigger at 15.95. When I do my options, guys, I'm a 0 DTE guy. That's just the way I do it. But I'm also not in a trade for hours on end. I like to get into a trade and out of a trade. My bread and butter is the 15 minute. That's where I set, just like we're doing here now, I set my triggers and targets on the 15, and I like to manage on the 5. The 5 lets me reduce my risk the most, by far and away. Keeps me in the trades. It also reduces my risk. Okay, and I don't care if I get knocked out and that trade ends up running. I follow my rules. Just like I talked about earlier in the video, you need to be conscious of following your rules, because if you're not following your rules, you're not doing the strategy to the full ability of the strategy. Okay, so make sure you follow the rules. Practice following the rules. Macy's, 2 down green, hammer candle. We're going to look for this to trend back to the upside. I was saying I buy 0 DTEs. My strike price for this at $15.95, my strike price would be $16. I don't go much higher than the next dollar value above. So 1 strike price out, and that's it. Okay. Morgan Stanley, here's that 122 Rev Strat. Again, make sure when we have the gaps, that first target is the bottom wick, okay? And then your next target can go to the top of that same candle. So 122 Rev Strat, hammer candle, calls at 88.52. My strike price, $89. And it's that simple, okay? My strike price doesn't have anything to do with my targets or anything else. I like to get close to the money. I mean, if that's the way I do it, you don't have to do it that way. But this is the way I've done it for years. And so you could use an 88 strike price. You could use an 87.50. You could be well into the money and still do this. Okay, and you don't have to take a 0 DTE. Buy yourself some time, okay? You don't have to do it exactly the way I do it. but this is how I do it. I'm showing you how I do it. You don't necessarily have to follow my rules, but I need you guys to make sure you're following your own. We move on to Citibank. Citibank has this hammer candle here again, a 122 Rev Strat. Make sure you guys have marked out your targets accordingly. So it doesn't have to be, that doesn't have to be your first target. You can go back and look, we can make another target. Where are we here? You can make another target there. That would be your next closest one. Okay? So just go back in time and make your targets. Fill those gaps. And then your next target can go to the high of that preceding candle, okay? So 2 down green, 122 Rev Strat, hammer candle. I told you, there's a lot of hammer candles here today. DIA, the diamonds, there's another hammer, 122 Rev Strat. This is another example. We talked about those 3-1 setups where we have these highly probable plays that set up, and it happened again. We triggered, and it hit targets, and then it reversed. And so whether you're looking at the daily chart or the 15-minute chart, if you're hitting your targets and that candlestick reverses back through your targets, again, for me, that's my time to get out. That's my risk management. That's the candlestick saying, hey, we're reversing through our original target. You might want to consider selling here, or you might want to sell here. And that's how I play my rules. Either the candlestick stopped me out on a reversal in the opposite direction of my trade, or the target stopped me out. And this thing could have ran further, and it wouldn't have mattered to me. I take what the market gives me. I take my profits and I move on to the next trade. This isn't a greedy game, and too many people are here trying to trade, trying to get thousands and thousands of percents. Guys, if you can do 10% a day by following your rules, that's 50% a week, and that's 200% a month on your trading capital. Not on your account, but on the capital that you trade with. So, and if you're trading with $100 a trade, in 1 month, if you can consistently get those 10% on average throughout a day, you're making 2x on your money. So you're going to change that 100 into 300. Okay? That's a really, really good success rate. And I'm not saying that happens to everybody because it all depends on the trader and your risk management. But small wins consistently will get you further than trying to shoot for 1,000% or 2,000 or 3,000 or 500 percenters. Okay, I'll promise you that, and I'll say it with all my heart and all honesty that those trades aren't going to get you where you want to be. Do it slow and steady. That's how you're going to win at this. Okay, so that's DIA. Again, we look at DocuSign. It's the same thing. Calls at 51.31 off of the 2-2 reversal hammer candle. Now, if we look at DocuSign real quick, we had a hammer candle yesterday. Okay, there was a hammer candle. And this is where we talk about probabilities. Yes, we had a 2 down finish green hammer candle. That's an actionable signal. It's saying, hey, we should go and trend up on this. It didn't happen. We trended down. We didn't take the trade because it didn't go into force, meaning it didn't break this trigger. But the probability didn't happen. Okay, so we're going to again look for the same thing tomorrow on DocuSign and see if it plays out. We go on to GME. Same thing. We had this hammer candle. We have another hammer candle. This was a shooter candle, and it worked out. Okay? Hammer candle red, didn't work out. Shooter candle, inside bar, and then we trended down. So it's all based off of probability, guys, and we don't jump into that trade until we go into force, meaning we've actually broken through that trigger point. So GME, 2 down green, our trigger point is $20.90. I'd be looking at a $21 strike price. JP Morgan, okay, 2 down green, not quite a hammer candle. Need that wick to be longer or the body to be smaller. Trigger at 155.98. First target, like we talked about, fill the gap, bottom of the candle. Next target, top of the candle. Oracle, 2 down green, 122 Rev Strat, back to the upside. Calls at 115.61. Wells Fargo. So again, we had that gap set up. Target 1, target 2, and target 3 goes to the top of the candle, okay? Calls at 44.55. XLU, 122 Rev Strat, hammer candle. Calls at 64.31 on XLU. We look at Apple with the inside bar. Now, if I'm looking at this and trying to strategize and say to myself, which way do I think it's going to go? Not because I'm front running, but just so I'm prepared and I have an idea. The majority of the time frame is to the downside. So I'm not saying Apple's going to trend to the downside tomorrow, but if we're looking at probabilities, we have an inside bar, so it could go either way. And we have time frame continuity across the board for the large part to the downside. So we can still look at the calls excuse me, at 180.27 or puts at 177.58. AFRM, 2 down green. We'll look for those calls at 15.80. Alibaba, same thing, 2 down green. Calls at 94.48. BIDU, 2 down green. We look for the calls back to the upside, 144.29. Carnival Cruise Line. So if you guys are looking for cheap options, I have a video. Now it's from last year, I believe, but it shows like probably about 20 stocks that have cheap premiums for the options. So something like CCL, you can get in for 30 cents, which is $30 per contract, per 100 shares. So CCL is usually cheaper, Ford's cheaper, NEO is cheaper, Coca-Cola I think is cheaper, and hey Nikia, how's it going? And CCL doesn't really move as fast. So if you want some time and you want to watch it play out, it doesn't move as fast. The premiums don't burn up as much. So that's something to take into account for CCL. Not quite a hammer candle, but we have the inside bar. So calls at 17.95, puts at 17.92. Datadog has this big gap to fill. We'll see if it trends back to the upside tomorrow. Calls at 89.24. We have targets marked out. And you can go back. Like I said, we don't have to use this target. We can put these intermediate targets, and you should put these intermediate targets in like we have here and here, 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 all the way up to there. Make sure we get those gaps filled, okay? Move on to eBay. 2 down green. Hammer candle. Let's zoom in on this. We'll make it a little bigger for you guys. There we go. Ford Motor Company, 2 down green, same thing. We had the hammer candle, didn't work out. We're going to try it again on Wednesday. General Motors, 2 down green. Okay, Google, inside bar, not quite a hammer candle, but we have this time frame continuity. Everything's pointing up. We are also stuck inside an inside bar on the weekly. I know this because of this yellow circle, part of my indicator, and the 2 pink lines that I placed there. So we go here. We're looking to break out of the inside bar on the weekly on Alphabet, on Google. So I'd like to see that tomorrow if it was going to happen one way or the other, because as we get later into the week, it's less likely that we overtake that. Overtake the trigger on either side. IWM, 2 down green, hammer candle, calls at 193.29. IBM, 2 down green, hammer candle. This one looks good. Okay, so we've got... This is something that I would look, so I do a top 5 for the Griswold Gold members, the people who buy the memberships for the Discord. So that membership gets you live trading bots, gets you the 1-hour strat course, gets you one-on-ones that you need with me, as many as you want. I don't put a number to that. If you guys want to do one every week, we can do one every week, that's fine. I also give them a top 5. So IBM, something like this, where we have a 2 down, finish green, a hammer candle. This is saying the buyers overtook today, and we've got great full time frame continuity across the board to the upside. This is something that I would look for as a top 5 setup for my Griswold Gold members. Moderna, with everything that's happening, it looks like it's going to continue to tumble. So we have a little bit of consolidation here. We'll see if it continues to trend down again. We have that time frame continuity. We have that inside bar, that actionable signal. So it's one more thing. Again, something that would likely be on a top 5 for my group. Netflix, 2 up, finish red. We'll look for puts there at 435.10. Pfizer, 2 up red. We'll look for the puts at 35.39. PayPal, here's an inside bar on PayPal. Calls at 63.99, puts at 62.49. I do want to put this out here for you guys. If you're looking for something from me, if you want to see a video, if you're looking for something specific, if you guys are thinking you want to do like a little mini course, if you're brand new, put it in the comment section. Let me know if that's something you guys are interested in. Target, 2 down green, hammer candle. We're going to look to take this back up. calls at 131.21. Tesla stuck in an inside bar today, calls at 250.92, puts at 245.01. Uber's got a 2 down green. It's got good time frame continuity back to the upside, so we can look for calls at 45.24 on Uber. XOM has a 2 down green as well, so we can look for the calls on XOM. And that is the list, guys. So thanks for watching. I wish you guys nothing but the best, nothing but green. I call you guys my subscribers, but you are my friends. You are my family. This is a family thing. It's we need to unite as a group, and I think the Strat does a really good job of that. There's not too much squabbling within the group. And the teachers, I think it's a pretty good group that we've got going with some of the main teachers that we have. So thank you to all you guys who are doing the teaching. Thank you to all of you friends and family that have subscribed to the channel, who are following me on Twitter and are in the Discord. Thank you guys very much. Terry, you're welcome. Good luck trading on Wednesday, guys. If you need extra help, you know where to find me. Twitter, Discord, YouTube. I'm here to help you guys. Let me know. Until then, have a good one.